If your business is failing, it's not because of your product. It's probably because you don't know how to build a business. My name's Jordan Strudwick, and I'm about to give you 10 strategies that I personally use to build a $12 million business in 4 years. Number one, label your years. Have a long-term plan. So when we very first started STRUD, we had first year was foundation year, second year was growth year, third year was domination year. What did that mean? First year was foundation year, right? So we had to get all of our systems, all of our processes, had to get all of that set up. Number two, growth. What's that mean? Scale. So we scaled. So we hired more people in our second year. So we knew that if we kept hiring a handful of people, now that we had the processes and the systems to lean on, that if we had more people, the business would do more revenue. And in our third year, it was our domination year. Our third year was the year where we had all the people, we had all of the systems, and now it was time to put it into action. And all that money and time invested in those first 3 years, it was gonna pay off. And the third year was the year that we started making some really good money. With the labels, it definitely helps because you can enroll your team into those things. So for example, the first year, everyone knew, hey, it's our foundation year. We're still working this out, systems, processes. Number two, everyone knew, hey, it's our growth year, and we prepared everyone with our growth. Hey, it's not always going to be smooth sailing with the growth year. We're going to hire a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of bumps when you're growing. And our third year, our domination year, it was like, okay, you've all learned the skill set now. Now it's time to go out there and dominate the market. In that third year, we had a lot of people who had their personal best years in that third year. Number two is build the cage. It's a weird analogy that I actually say is that, I always joke about it with myself is that I'm like a wild animal, and the only reason I actually went out to go start my own business is that my cage didn't get built big enough, right? And the thing is, if you're a person like me, if I'm not growing, I'm gonna wanna go somewhere else. So for me, you've always gotta make sure that you've got a cage big enough for your people. Now, sometimes your people start as a little duck, and then they turn into a little fox, and then they're from a fox to a little lion, and they're from a lion to this big lion, and maybe from the big lion they're a big bear, and then all of a sudden, if they're this big bear and they're in this tiny refined little cage, and what I mean by cage, weird analogy, but what I mean by cage is that they've got to have the freedom to kind of do what they want, all within the bounds of STRUD and our business, but they've got to have those limits, but not feel like they're restricted, right? I think it's very, very important. Make sure that you've got a cage that's big enough to support the animals that you're building. I just think about all the things that I wanted when I was performing. People aren't silly these days. People know margins and how much you're making off certain people and all of those types of things. So, I always make sure I'm always fair, but I'll never ever take advantage of, our people that are within the business. I'll always pay them fairly, right? If I was this person, would I be happy and do they have a growth path in front of them? If they don't have any room to grow, they're gonna explode out of the cage, they're gonna leave you. Number three, what's in it for them? I think a lot of leaders, bosses, CEOs, they always come from the position of, okay, what's in it for me? What's the bottom line look like? What's that mean for money? Whereas for me, I always think about the people first. So it's a people first approach, right? So with the people, it's like, cool, what's in it for them? We gave someone a pay rise the other day, right? We gave someone a pay rise. So, did we have to do it at that particular time? No, we didn't, right? But we knew, they're performing really well. So what's in it for them? They're gonna get a pay rise. And now, what's in it for us? Now that we've given their pay rise, they're performing to a higher level. Do you know what I mean? So what's in it for them over what's in it for me? If your team has a big win, or one of your team members has a big win, and you just get a little small win, it's all good. And I think a lot of bosses, they try to do it the other way around. They wanna win big, they wanna keep all the money, and then they've got these people that leave them, and then they get upset because, they left me because of XYZ. It's no, they left you because you're being greedy. You know what I mean? That's the reality. So, don't be greedy. Number four, become an attraction business. How do you become an attraction business? You spend money on marketing, right? So for us, we spent money on buses, DL drops, videos, social media. We had advertising budgets for everything. Like we spent money on marketing. Now, you might not be a real estate business. You might be, e-commerce or whatever, but have you got the best website? Are you attracting the right people? Are you spending enough money on lead magnets? All of those types of things, invest in your business. I think so many people wait. They're like, okay, well, I'll invest money once I start making money, but you've got to invest first, right? If you want to invest in your business, then you can become an attraction business. business. When you become an attraction business, people come to you. You don't have to go to them. People wait to invest money to make money, but you've got to do it the other way around. So for example, for us, with STRUD, our first year, we did $1.2 million in revenue, right? 1.2 million, we made $15,000 out of 1.2 million, right? The second year, we did 2.7 million. Out of 2.7 million, we made $5,000. So we went lower, but it was okay because we were in our growth year and we knew that. And then in our third year, I won't say how much, but we made money, but it was that long-term vision. We just kept investing and investing back into the business, right? And most people, the reason that your business isn't where it could be is because you don't want to invest, because you're scared. What if it doesn't work out? You're only going to know if you actually invest. Well, that's why I see people fail in business. So they can't see that. It's all about what can I keep, not what can I invest. With marketing especially, it's really hard because it's not a tangible thing, right? So for example, if you spend, we spent maybe $20,000 on buses. How do we know who saw us from buses? It's more of a subliminal thing, but our philosophy is like, okay, cool. If you don't catch us on a bus, you're going to catch us on a signboard. You don't catch us on a signboard, you're going to catch us on TikTok. You don't catch us on TikTok, we're on Instagram. No, Instagram, we're going to catch you on one of our Facebook pages. You don't catch you on Facebook pages, we might catch you at a community event. We're everywhere, right? So marketing, it's an intangible thing, but it's something that everyone knows that they need to do, but most people don't do it. So you've got to do it. You've got to spend the money and just trust. Get the right team around you. That's what I did. I had the right team around me that I knew, okay, these guys know what they're doing, and this is where I should spend my money on marketing. Number 5, create a destination workplace. So we've done 3 careers nights and we've had over 250 people come to those careers nights. I get people who literally rock into the doors at STRUD and they won't leave until they can have an interview with me, And how have we done that, right? Through the power of social media, right? Stories, culture, people, when you create a destination workplace, like your people are your biggest billboard, right? So you want to make sure you're creating them to A, be successful, but B, you're creating them where we, on the outside and also on the inside, we've got an amazing team and people just want to be a part of that. So for little things that we do to create a destination workplace, we always do double taps, and what does that mean? Like every time you see someone in the office, you walk around and you give them the double tap. You remember in school you had a little handshake, we do that at STRUD. We always have to go to all of the community events. We always support each other. Anytime someone wins, anytime someone wins in the business, they buy their first home or whatever, everyone supports them. You want to create a place where, A, it's a good culture, but B, the other thing to create a destination workplace is that you're creating winners, right? People know they can come into our company, and from the people that have come in, for example, our associate director, Jesse, my business partner, 3.5 years ago, he was a Sparky. Now, he's running $1.5 million in fees and is a part owner in STRUD in 3.5 years, There's a lot of people, and if you can create winners, that's what's going to make people want to come and work in your business. Everyone thinks it's all about them. My business is not about me, it's all about the people, right? The business is about all of the people. Because all well and good for me to be successful, right? I'm already successful, right? But when you get someone and you make them successful, that's how you become a destination workplace. Number 6, hire correctly and do multiple stage interviews. So we do 3-stage interviews where they would meet somebody, right? They meet whoever that head of department was for that particular job. So if let's say it's property management, they meet the head of property management. Second interview, they'd meet me, right? I would ask them a lot of questions in the second interview. And third interview, and we'd space this out over a week to 2 weeks. Third interview, they would meet 2 people randomly from STRUD that we thought, let's go meet them. Tell me if you think they're going to be a culture fit. Because the culture fit's the important part. We don't want people that aren't going to fit into the culture. So be very, very careful on who you let through your doors. For me, I see my business like it's my family, it's my home. Who would you let into your home? Ask yourself that. Number 7, figure out what your long-term goal is and reverse engineer it. So for us, I believe that we could be $1 billion sales business within 5 years. So how do I reverse engineer that? I worked on a fact of I think we could double every single year. So if we did $1 billion in sales in 5 years, but the year before that, in our 4th year, we did 500 million. In our 3rd year, we did 250 million. In our 2nd year, we did 125 million. And then in our 1st year, we did 60 million, right? 70, 60, 125, 62.5 million, right? And they're all the numbers that we've hit. So I knew that we wanted to grow our business 100% year on year, and we just reverse engineered that, right? Now, you can't just reverse engineer it with numbers, you've got to reverse engineer it with people. for example. So I know that if we want a $1 billion sales business, that's about $25 million worth of revenue. Now, to $25 million worth of revenue, what does that mean? It means that I need to have $15 million plus agents. I need to have $500,000 plus agents, right? So I need to have 30 agents. Now, at the moment, I've got 18 agents, right? But some of them, and things are going to change over time, some of them, instead of writing $1 million, some of them are going to write 2 to 3 million. So sometimes those things are going to change. But if you have a general idea of, the team that you're going to need, and then the other side of that is that knowing, okay, cool, we're going to have all of these agents, so we need to make sure that we have the support staff for them. I think a lot of people don't do that because they can't be very clear, and I think a lot of the time it's a mindset thing. So like, for example, if I told most people 5 years ago I would have $1 billion sales business in 5 years, I think I was crazy. Whereas now they're not going to think it's crazy. I think a lot of people, they'll set a goal that's too big. So for some people, $1 billion goal in 5 years, that's way too big. Don't have that goal. You might say, and let's just take it out of real estate for a second. Let's just say in 5 years' time, you want to have a business that is doing $1 million. All you need to know is that, you need to start making, close to just under 100 grand a month. Now if you can make 100 grand a month in 5 years' time, that might sound crazy, but 5 years' time, that's not crazy. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing 10 grand a month now, then that's just 10xing it over the next 5 years. Right? But I think most people don't do it because they're not clear. They're not clear on what they want. And I think that's very important. You need to be very clear on what you want. Number 8, create leaders. You've got to let go to grow. So many people, they don't create leaders. They want to make all the decisions. For me, I literally let all my leaders make the decisions. If they'll come to me, sometimes they'll come to me and say, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm like, I don't care. You make the decision, right? You're going to live and die on the sword. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I find with business owners. They sit on decisions way too long. For me, you got to be agile, you got to be quick. Now, how do you get your people to become better leaders? You start teaching them all the little philosophies. Start thinking about get them to start thinking about your people, get them to start being company people, think, what's the best for the company? You know what I mean? Because as a leader, right, I'm a company man. I always think, what's the absolute best thing for the company? What's the best thing for me? What's the absolute best thing for the company, right? And all my leaders that are around me, they think the same thing, right? Because at any given time, most leaders, and this is where a lot of leaders fail, you're in a position where you could pretty much do whatever you want, right? Because you're the leader. But you've got to take yourself out of it and be like, okay, what benefits the company and the individuals that are within the company the most, right? And that's the decision that you make. A good leader creates followers, a great leader creates leaders. And here's 5 things that you can do to create a leader. Number 1, get your leaders installed in the vision. Like, what's your vision for your company? So our vision, one small group of individuals can change the world. Number 2, make sure your leaders know all your values. For us, respect, integrity, courage, humility, growth, right? Number 3, make sure that your leaders listen to people, right? There's a boss who just tells people things and gives orders. Make sure your leaders are actually listening to the team, finding out what they want and providing them with solutions. Number 4, make sure your leaders care. It's not hard to care. Actually just care. One of my team members, he's doubled his business in the last 12 months, and I said, what's the difference? He said, bro, you just actually care. You care about my wife, you care about my daughter, you care about me, just actually care. And number 5, leaders need to lead, and this is probably one of the most important things. Leaders need to lead by example. So if your leaders aren't leading by example and your leaders are doing things wrong, you've got to tell them. Number 9, have clear values and standards across the business. So for us, respect, integrity, courage, humility, growth, right? What does that mean? Respect, always treat other people the way that you want to be treated. Integrity, do what you say you're going to do. C, courage, take your opportunities to be courageous. Every day you're presented with times to be courageous. Number 4, humility, right? Humility. Leave your ego at the door. We're just people. You're not out there saving the world. Make sure you're always being humble. And G, number 5, growth. Always make sure you're growing. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So be clear on what your values are and what they actually mean. And be clear on your standards. So for example, in our standards, our agents, if you don't write $500,000 a year, we will sack you, right? We'll get rid of them. Right? Now, there's rules and there's regulations with timeframes and all of that type of stuff, but that's a very clear standard for us, If you want to say it behind someone's back, you say it to their face. very clear standard for us. So if someone comes to me bitching about somebody, a little while ago, hey, get into a room, chat about it. You know what I mean? We don't tolerate it. So you've got to have those very clear standards. The standards that you walk past are the standards you accept. So if there's rubbish on the ground in STRUD, someone is expected to pick that up and put that in the bin. Just those little things. Yet again, back to what I said before, the leaders need to enforce these things. It's not going to work unless the leaders hold to these standards. Now, if I'm late to every single meeting, what does that tell the rest of the team? Do I have integrity? No. Do you know what I mean? Now, if I do that, they don't care what the value is. I'm their leader, right? They're not going to care. They're just going to do whatever I do. And I think that's what happens with most businesses. They have all of these values. And if you actually use the values right, they can save you from so many difficult conversations. And number 10, figure out what your USP is. What is your unique selling proposition? So for us, the reality is there's 3,200 or whatever real estate companies in Queensland. Why are we unique to everybody else? For you might be an electrician. There's a gazillion electricians that are out there. Or a plumber. There's a gazillion plumbers out there. Everyone can do the same thing. So what's the thing that makes you different? So for us at STRUD, when we started, our values, our mission, our group, we want to change the world. We want to build orphanages in the Philippines, and I think that's a big thing for us, and we like to share that because that's our mission in life, is to make a difference in the world. We're a family business. I come from nothing. I'm Ipswich born and bred, and our business is in Ipswich. We've got a lot of families that are within the business. Most of our team members, they're from trade backgrounds, so they're not what you would typically pick from in real estate. For us at the start, our big unique selling proposition was that we're just people. We're just real. We're putting the real back in real estate, right? Now, if you're a plumber, right? How do you make your business stand out? It might be that you have, a niche. Do you know what I mean? So your niche might be bathroom renovations, and your bathroom renovations might be coastal bathroom renovations. At any given time, and this is a great way to figure out what your unique selling proposition, you're selling three things, right? You're selling your systems, you're selling yourself, and you're selling your company, right? So if you're selling yourself, let's say that you're a plumber and you're out there and you're starting a plumbing business, you might go out there and be like, cool, I'm selling myself. How do I sell myself? Cool. I'm a 30-year-old plumber that has 12 years experience. I used to work with one of the best plumbing companies in Queensland, and I decided that I wanted to go out because I wanted to chase my dreams. And that sounds a bit cliche, but some people love that. You might have a young family, you wanted to do that so you can spend some more time with your kids so you get that work-life balance later in life. Some people love that thing. You know what I mean? The second thing, your systems. Yes, we're plumbers, but we treat it like a business. We have very fast systems. Now, what does that mean is that we can get you quotes within 12 hours, or we can get you instant quotes. The billing system is very easy. What do your systems actually look like? And lastly, what's your company? What's your company stand for? It could be something as simple as, every quarter you go and do a homeless, we do homeless barbecues every quarter, but every quarter you give back to the community. Every year, you go out and you do a free job for someone who's in need, or whatever it is. But these are the things that you got to think outside the square as to why would someone pick you? For example, I'm on the other side of the camera. How many real estate leaders do this? Jump on the other side of the camera. A handful of them do. Did I want to do this? Not really. At the start, maybe 6 months ago, is it something I knew that I needed to do? Did I need to build a personal brand? Yes. So that's going to be part of my unique selling proposition. Now, what does that mean? Is that people who want to join our business, they're probably just going to follow on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and they'll see these things and they're going to want to come and work in our business. It's part of the unique selling proposition. No different to a plumber. Great example. Go back to the plumber. Just use the plumber as an analogy. If a plumber does before and after jobs, does that stuff through social media, how many plumbers actually go and do that? How many plumbers, actually give a follow-up call a week later saying, hey, I just wanted to give you a call and see how you're going with your bathroom reno. Could you get that on camera? Yeah, you potentially could. So what are those things that you can do different from what all your competitors are going to do to stand out? So there's 10 strategies that I've personally used to build a $12 million business. If you like this type of content, like, subscribe, comment some questions below if you have any questions or need any help with anything. Love to connect. Peace.